All right, let's dive right in. Forget trying to predict the future with some crystal ball, because here's the thing. The future of business isn't some far-off concept anymore. It is happening right now. Today, we're cracking open the 2025 playbook, and we're going to give you the exact strategic moves you need to be making, all based on a really comprehensive new trends report. Let's get to it.
You know, this quote just absolutely nails it. For years, we've been hearing about how things like AI and the creator economy were emerging. Well, guess what? They've emerged. In 2025, these aren't just theories you can afford to ignore anymore. They are the core, operational reality of how you build, how you market, and how you scale a business, period. So, with all this change, how do you even begin to navigate it? Well, the good news is we can boil all these huge trends down into three fundamental pillars. I want you to think of it like the new operating system for your business in 2025. Let's break that down. Okay, so it all starts with pervasive AI. And let me be clear, AI isn't a cool new feature anymore. It's the new electricity. It's the infrastructure powering everything you do. But you know, all that power, it attracts attention, and that leads to pillar two, regulation and trust. Governments are stepping in, and your customers are demanding security. That means compliance is now a core product feature. And wrapping all this up is the distributed creator economy, this massive global network of talent that you have to tap into if you want to compete.
And inside that AI pillar, there's a key term you really need to get familiar with: agentic AI. I mean, forget just generating some text or a picture. We're talking about AI that can actually act. These are systems that can automate entire workflows, from doing your sales follow-ups to generating code, all without you giving it step-by-step instructions. This is where the real, serious operational leverage in 2025 is going to come from. And if you think these are still fringe technologies, take a look at this. We are now seeing major Swiss banks. I'm not talking about startups. I'm talking about banks using public blockchains for actual binding payments. This isn't just speculation anymore, folks. This signals a huge shift where these tools are being used for serious, real-world applications like making affiliate payouts way faster or creating entirely new revenue models. Okay, so that's the big picture. But what does all of this actually mean for your day-to-day strategy? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for your bottom line? Let's get into what this new strategic reality looks like for you. You've got to understand that every single one of these trends is a two-sided coin. On one side, you've got these amazing opportunities, exponential leverage from AI, access to global talent. But on the other side of that same coin, you've got serious risks, like crippling compliance penalties or just shocking compute costs that come out of nowhere. The truth is, you simply cannot get the upside here without actively, and I mean actively, managing the downside. Let's make this really real for a second. Picture a SaaS founder. They've integrated a powerful new AI feature into their product. The customers absolutely love it, right? But behind the scenes, the compute costs, the price they pay to run that powerful AI model every single time a user makes a query, are just skyrocketing. It's totally eating into their margins and honestly threatening the viability of the whole product. And trust me, this is a problem that is happening everywhere right now. So how did they fix it? Well, they got smart. They didn't just keep using some massive general-purpose AI. No. Instead, they switched to smaller, specialized models that were trained to do their one exact task. And the result? A staggering 60% drop in the cost per query. It's a perfect example of how making a strategic adaptation is what's going to protect your bottom line in this new world. Look, understanding all these trends is one thing, but actually acting on them, that's a whole other ballgame. So what should you do on Monday morning? Let's translate all this strategy into a concrete 30-day plan you can start using immediately to build your foundation. Here are your first three moves. Number one, audit your AI. You cannot control what you don't measure, so you need to map out every single AI feature, every data source, and every cost associated with it. Second, run a security check. This is totally non-negotiable. Mandate two-factor authentication across the board. And third, take a hard look at your affiliate terms. Your partners are crucial, so make sure your payout rules are crystal clear and maybe even explore ways to pay them faster. It's all about gaining visibility and control, right now. And hey, look how simple building trust can be. This right here is called a model card. It's not a bunch of legal jargon. It's just a plain language statement that tells your users exactly how you use AI. You can literally copy this template, fill in your details, and post it on your website today. This one small step is a giant leap for transparency and building real customer trust.
So we've got the trends, and we have a plan. But the final piece of the puzzle isn't really about tactics. It's about mindset. To truly thrive in this new environment, you need to operate with these new rules baked right into your company's DNA. So the real question is, are you ready for that?
Let's run a quick diagnostic. Just ask yourself these questions, a quick yes or no. Do you have an AI inventory? Are your compute costs actually baked into your pricing model? Do you have a documented incident response plan for when things go wrong? And can you pay your partners in under 30 days? Be honest with yourself. If you answered no to more than one of these, you have some urgent work to do. Because ultimately, that is what it all comes down to. The landscape has fundamentally changed. The new operating system is installed, and the playbook is right here, in your hands. The only question left is, are you ready to get on the field and actually run the place?
All right, today we are diving deep into the ONPASSIVE platform to take a look at its brand new financial system. We're going to break down exactly how it all works, from getting a refund to earning commissions, all based on what the platform itself has explained. So let's get right into it.
First, just think about this for a second. How does a massive global platform actually manage money for people in over 200 different countries? I mean, you've got all these different currencies, completely different banking laws, not to mention the constant risk of fraud. It's an incredibly complex puzzle, and that's really the core problem this new ONPASSIVE system was built to solve.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll get into why a new system was even necessary. Then, we'll walk through the nuts and bolts of refunds and commissions. After that, we're going to look at the tech that makes it all happen, the digital wallet and passport. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about the big picture vision behind it all, fairness and security.
Right, so Section 1, why build a whole new system from the ground up? Well, to really get why this new approach is such a big deal, you first have to understand the old problems it was designed to fix. It's really that classic story of moving from something super complex to something clean and streamlined.
And this slide really lays out the night and day difference. In the past, users were dealing with payout delays, they had to go through confusing manual requests, and there was no way to actually track their earnings in real time. The new system tackles every single one of those issues, swapping out those slow manual steps for a process that's automated, instant, and totally transparent.
So, what does this new streamlined approach look like in practice? Well, let's start with something that's super important for any user, getting your money back. This whole next section is about the new refund process.
The whole thing has basically been boiled down to these 4 automated steps. You submit a request, the system instantly verifies it's you, it checks the request against platform policies, and bam, the money is released. No more endless back and forth emails or waiting around for someone to manually approve things.
And what's the result of all that automation? Speed. Most refund requests are now getting processed in just 24 to 48 hours. That kind of turnaround is a direct result of how this new system was designed.
Okay, so we've gone from getting money back to making money. Section 3 is all about how commissions are earned. And the key phrase to remember here is real-time rewards. That phrase tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the philosophy here. So the way earnings are structured is pretty straightforward. You've got 3 tiers. First, there are direct commissions, which you get from your own personal referrals. Then you have team commissions, which are based on how your whole network is performing. And finally, there are bonus pools, which are basically special incentives for the top performers.
Now, this is the really crucial point. It doesn't matter which tier the earnings come from, they all flow directly and instantly into your digital wallet. There's no more waiting for a weekly or monthly payout. The second you earn it, it's yours. And that, of course, leads us right to
the engine that's powering this entire system, the digital wallet and its security features. This section is all about the core technology, called OWallet and OVerify, that actually makes all of these instant and secure transactions possible.
The easiest way to think about the OWallet is like it's your own personal bank, right inside the ONPASSIVE ecosystem. It's the central hub where all your money, whether it's from commissions or refunds, is held securely. And from there, you're the one in control. You decide what happens next.
Let's use a real-world example they gave. Say there's a user named Mary in Canada, and she earns a $500 commission. That money lands instantly in her OWallet. She then decides, okay, I'm going to transfer $300 of that to my personal bank account, and I'll keep the other $200 right here in my OWallet to pay for my next subscription upgrade. It just shows the kind of flexibility you have to manage your own funds.
So you're probably asking, how is all of this kept secure? That is where OVerify comes into play. And the source material uses this perfect analogy. OVerify acts like a high-tech digital passport. Every single important financial action, like trying to withdraw money, requires this passport to prove you are who you say you are. It's a fantastic way to make sure only you can ever access your funds.
And that brings us to our final section, the vision. You see, all of these features we've just talked about, the speed, the automation, the security, they aren't just technical bells and whistles. They're all built on top of a core philosophy of fairness and security.
The entire system is really built on these three pillars. You've got security, which is handled by things like AI and biometrics. You've got transparency, thanks to those real-time dashboards where you can always see exactly what's happening with your money. And you've got compliance, which means it follows major international financial rules so it can operate legally all over the world. So, to wrap it all up, the stated goal here is pretty simple, but it's also really ambitious: to create a financial ecosystem that is faster, fairer, and more secure for every single user on the platform, no matter where in the world they happen to be.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As more and more of our financial lives happen online, it raises a much bigger question for all of us, doesn't it? What new standards for things like speed, transparency, and security should we, as users, start demanding from every single platform we use? Thanks for tuning in.
All right, let's peel back the curtain on those massive corporate announcements. You know the ones I'm talking about. The huge town halls, the live updates, the big presentations. We're going to break down the strategy behind it all.
So, have you ever sat through one of those for an hour, maybe more, and by the end, you're just lost? You're left wondering, okay, what was the signal and what was just noise? It feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hose, right?
But here's the secret. It's not random, not at all. There is a method to the madness. These announcements follow a pretty predictable structure, a playbook. And by the time we're done here, you're going to have the decoder ring. So first up, let's talk about the why. Specifically, the timing. You ever notice how these big reveals often happen right after some major company celebration, like an anniversary or a founder's birthday? Well, that is definitely not a coincidence. It's all about momentum. I mean, think about it. The company uses all that positive energy from the celebration to pivot everyone's focus forward. It's the absolute perfect moment to set the agenda for the future, reveal what's next, and get everyone re-energized and optimistic. It's a totally strategic move to keep that hype train rolling. Okay, so now that we get the why behind the timing, let's break down the what. What exactly are they packing into these long, detailed updates? Let's dive in.
If you look at a typical 100-minute broadcast, how they slice up that time tells you everything about their priorities. Notice this: a full quarter of the time goes to product and roadmap, the tangible stuff, and another whole quarter is dedicated to vision. The rest gets split up. This isn't just an agenda. It's a giant flashing sign pointing to where they want you to focus.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. First, you're going to hear about product updates, new features, better dashboards, you name it. Then they'll lay out a roadmap, and hopefully it has real dates because everybody craves certainty. After that comes the business stuff, changes to compensation, new pricing, and finally they'll talk about growth, expanding into new markets or announcing new partnerships. But wait, there's more. The second half of this playbook is all about the support system, training, events, better customer service, and this next part is crucial. They'll touch on governance. This is where they talk about system stability or fixing past mistakes to build trust. You'll probably see some special offers thrown in to sweeten the pot. And it almost always wraps up with a big dose of vision and motivation, reminding everyone why they're on this ride together. Okay, we've covered the why and the what, but now we get to the most important question of all. So what? How does any of this actually affect you? Well, every single announcement is a double-edged sword. On one side, you've got massive opportunity, the promise of new tools, clear timelines, special offers. But on the other side, you've got very real risks, buggy launches, delayed features, and unexpected costs. The real key here is knowing how to navigate this balance between the promise and the pitfalls. And that brings us to the most important part. What do you do with all this information? To maximize those opportunities and minimize the risks, you absolutely need a proactive plan. So, let's build one. This quote really hits the nail on the head. Passively listening to an announcement just isn't enough. The real value, the real advantage comes from being proactive, not reactive. You've got to have a plan. So here it is, your 6-step action plan. 1, stay tuned and verify. Get your info from official sources, not from rumors. 2, Plan ahead. Align your own work with their launch dates. 3. Document and measure. You have to track your starting point so you can tell what's actually working. 4. Engage. Give feedback. Help them shape the tools you use. 5. Budget for risk, because trust me, delays happen. And finally, number 6. Leverage their momentum. Use all their marketing buzz to amplify your own message.
Okay, one last thing, and this is a big one. In any major announcement, there's always a mix of real substance and, well, sizzle. The final skill is learning how to separate genuine progress from aspirational hype.
So use this as your mental checklist. Are they giving you specific, concrete dates, or is everything just vaguely coming soon? Are they showing you a live demo or just a bunch of pretty screenshots? Do they actually admit to any known issues? Is there a real support system in place, like a help desk? And are the pricing terms crystal clear? Asking these questions will help you gauge how solid these announcements really are. So now you have the playbook. You know the strategy, the content, the risks, and the action plan. The next time you're sitting in that big town hall or watching that live update, you're not just going to be a passive observer. You're going to be a decoder. So what's the first thing you'll be listening for? Okay, so when you think birthday, you probably think cake, presents, the usual stuff, right? Well, what if a birthday could be something bigger, like a company's most important strategic event of the year? That's exactly what we're digging into today, how one global community takes its CEO's birthday and turns it into this massive, powerful tool to push their mission forward. And really, it all comes down to this one big question. How in the world does a personal celebration become a strategic milestone for a global community? We're going to break down how they take what's normally a simple event and just transform it into an engine for renewing purpose, strengthening belief, and sparking action all over the planet. All right, let's get right into it. The first thing you have to wrap your head around is that for this community, a birthday is, well, it's not just a birthday. It's way, way more than that. So this whole event is basically framed as having some serious symbolic power. I mean, forget the cake and candles for a second. Think of it more like a strategic timeout. It's a moment for the entire community all at once to just pause, reflect, realign with our goals, and get totally re-energized for the mission ahead. So you're probably wondering, who is this leader, and what's the company at the very center of all this? The company is called ONPASSIVE, and from what we can see, it's a seriously ambitious project. They're creating this whole ecosystem of AI-powered tools. The grand vision here? To build a brand new digital infrastructure that could totally change the game for how entrepreneurs do business. So this all kicked off back in 2018, and in the years since, it's ballooned into this global community of members they call founders. These are the people who have really bought into this big vision of a future that's completely powered by integrated AI. And the CEO's leadership? It's really positioned as the engine behind everything. There's this one quote that says it all. It symbolizes boldness and audacity. It's that belief in his vision that seems to be the glue holding it all together, convincing the whole community that, yeah, this huge technological shift is actually possible. Okay, so how does a party actually do all that? How does it create this incredible sense of unity? Well, it all comes down to the impact it has on the community members, those founders we mentioned. First off, you gotta understand the sheer scale of this thing. We are not talking about a little office party with a sheet cake. This is a massive global network of founders. We're talking people in Dubai, in India, across Africa, and the Americas. So the celebration acts as this one single unifying event for everyone, everywhere. And this is where it gets really fascinating, psychologically speaking. The event is literally described as an affirmation of belief. Think about that. It's a dedicated moment to double down, to reinforce everyone's faith in the vision, and to remind every single founder, hey, this is why you signed on to this crazy ambitious project in the first place. You know, these celebrations are also very cleverly designed to build real, powerful, emotional bonds. They have these rituals like everyone sharing messages and making videos. It all works to make members feel like they're part of a global family. It's a powerful way to make sure nobody feels like they're in this alone. But wait, it's not all just feel-good celebrations. This is where it gets really interesting. This moment is also used to look at the tough stuff, to confront real-world challenges head-on. So yeah, it all kicks off by getting everyone grounded in that core belief, that shared vision. But then,
It takes a hard pivot. The celebration is also a time to openly acknowledge the really difficult things, the legal and operational hurdles the company is actually up against. And we're not talking about vague problems here. This reflection gets into specific, really serious challenges. For example, the source notes that founders are aware of regulatory scrutiny from groups like the SEC. So the birthday becomes this moment to face those realities together, out in the open. And all of this leads to a pretty powerful call to action. It's basically saying, okay, founders, your job goes way beyond just believing. They're being pushed to turn that inspiration into actual daily action, to hold the ecosystem accountable, to be the guardians of the community's integrity, and to jump in and help co-create its future. So you combine all this belief with this new sense of accountability. Where does that lead? Well, let's talk about the future. This is where that birthday celebration transforms into a genuine launchpad for action. It's not just a party. It's a strategic moment they use to roll out product announcements, kick off mentorship programs, launch charity campaigns, and even host technical events like hackathons. It's all happening. And look, if they can actually harness all that energy in the right way, the potential payoffs are huge. We're talking about renewed energy to get products out the door, a much more tight-knit global community, a better public image, and a real chance for the leadership to solidify that trust. And this really brings us to the absolute core of it all. The celebration itself isn't the point. Its real power is in what happens after the party's over. It's designed to be a springboard to launch the entire community into this next phase of focused, inspired action. So that leaves us with one final, pretty big thought to chew on. What we've looked at here is a powerful model for building a community, one that's built on a massive vision. It makes you ask a really crucial question. When a community is fueled almost entirely by belief, what's the glue that actually holds it all together? Is it just the inspiration? Is it the execution of the plan? Or is it something deeper, the shared responsibility that every single member of that community carries?